Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host with another marvelous video. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was one of the most popular animated series in the 80s, and almost all of us grew up watching this show. This show left behind quite a legacy and was recently reintroduced as a Netflix series in 2021. This series is a perfect reimagining of the original show, and it introduces the classic He-Man characters to a whole new generation of viewers. Today, we'll explore this show in detail and tell you everything about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin! What's the show all about? He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is an animated series created by Rob David, and it retells the story of the classic 1983 series from a fresh perspective. The show is set on the fictional planet of Eternia, where the main protagonist, He-Man, is an alter ego of Eternia's Prince Adam. Prince Adam had gained his powers and turned into He-Man after ending up at Castle Grayskull, a magical fortress that is also responsible for giving him his powers. While He-Man and his allies devote their lives to protecting this castle, they often face Skeletor, an evil entity determined to conquer the castle and eventually rule all of Eternia. The show premiered on Netflix on 16th September 2021, and it has 3 seasons so far with a total of 26 episodes. It was introduced as an animated series in the sci-fi superhero genre and was quite a treat for everyone who grew up watching the original show. Let's explore the show's first few episodes and have a look at the overall story arc. Exploring the first few episodes and the overall story arc. The show's first episode was titled Sword of Grayskull, and it began with the warrior witch Tila and her attempts to find the Sword of Power at Castle Grayskull. Tila was sent by the power-hungry Evil Lyn, who wanted to get her hands on the sword in order to gain access to Castle Grayskull and all the magical powers that lay within it. While Tila manages to find the Sword of Power after fighting various guards and soldiers, she refuses to hand it over to Evil Lyn. A strange voice from within the sword tells her that it does not belong to Evil Lyn and that she must deliver it to the sword's champion, Prince Adam. In the meantime, Evil Lyn and her accomplice Cronus prepare themselves to head after Tila and get the sword for themselves. Tila sets out on an adventure to find Prince Adam, who's now living with the Tiger Tribe. He had found friends in the form of a tiger named Cringer, his nephew Kitty, and a young girl named Crass. While Adam spent his days roaming around the forest with Kitty, Crass, and Cringer, he often ended up on strange adventures. In one such instance, Cringer ends up getting captured by a group of hunters while he goes hunting alone, and Crass and Adam finally come to his rescue and free him. As the three of them head back to the Tiger Tribe, Crass tries to convince Adam to get a striped tattoo that makes him a part of the tribe. However, Adam doesn't seem ready to let go of his past yet, even if it's been 10 years since he had to leave his family behind. As the three of them reach the tribe, they spot Tila sitting on top of a tree, as she confesses that she's afraid of cats and is trying to avoid them. Adam asks her why she even came to the Tiger Tribe if she's afraid of cats, and Tila replies by saying that a voice in her head told her to come here. While the two of them talk to each other, Evil Lyn and Cronus trace Tila's location and follow her to the Tiger Tribe. In the meantime, Adam and Crass witness Tila's magic, and the Tiger Tribe imprisons her after watching her perform magic. Adam later visits her, captured inside a cage, and tells her that the cats don't like magic. Tila and Adam get into a conversation about King Randor, and Tila eventually tells him about her quest to find the sword's champion. While they have this conversation, Evil Lyn and Cronus launch an attack on the Tiger Tribe, and they use their technology to overpower the tribe and the village. Adam helps Tila break out of the prison, and she hands him the package that contains the sword and asks him to hide from the attackers while she heads out to fight them. She also tells him she'll be back for the package if she survives, while Evil Lyn's robots set the entire village on fire. Evil Lyn rushes after Tila as soon as she spots her, and Adam comes to her rescue as she's about to lose her balance and fall from a cliff. While the two of them get cornered by Evil Lyn, Adam finally realizes that the parcel in his hand contains a sword, and he picks it up to fight his opponents. Adam picks the sword, which immediately reveals the words, "By the power of Grayskull," and Adam transforms into He-Man as soon as he reads these words aloud. He gains his powers and undergoes a transformation that turns him into a muscular, strong man, and he manages to defeat his opponents with ease. While Tila realizes she has finally found the sword's champion, Evil Lyn declares that he cannot be the sword's champion, but hesitates to fight him anyway. As the scene shifts to the evil Prince Keldor, we learn that Adam's use of the Sword of Grayskull has also resulted in Keldor's freedom. As Keldor finally celebrates his freedom, he declares that the sword belongs to him and that he must claim it. In the next episode, titled The Power of Grayskull, Adam uses his newfound powers and the sword to defend his tribe from the robots. However, this turns out to be tricky when Evil Lyn uses a duplication spell to overpower Adam and defeat him. Eventually, Adam uses a power known as the lightning bolt in order to destroy all the bots. While Adam successfully gets rid of the bots, the lightning bolt depletes the sword's energy and Adam returns to his usual skinny form and falls to the ground. While Evil Lyn and Cronus finally accept defeat and step back, one of their teammates named Duncan sides with Crass and the others and helps them escape on a ship. While Crass wishes to head back to Tiger Tribe's base, Tila suggests setting up a makeshift camp in a good hiding spot to avoid Evil Lyn's forces for a while. In the meantime, Evil Lyn and Cronus send their bots to locate Adam and the others while King Randor learns that the sword has been stolen from Castle Grayskull. King Randor believes that Prince Adam and Keldor both died because of the sword, and he orders his ministers to find the sword thief as soon as possible. Back at the base camp, Crass, Tila and the others address Adam's newfound powers as well as the Sword of Grayskull, and Crass even refers to him as He-Man as a joke. They also try to use the sword to turn Adam into He-Man again, but the sword seems to have exhausted its energy and needs to be recharged. As the scene shifts to Evil Lyn and Cronus again, they run into Prince Keldor, who has been presumed dead for a very long time. While Evil Lyn is shocked that the prince is still alive, Keldor tells them that he was weakened during their attack 10 years ago, but he managed to survive and spent the last few years alone, waiting for help. Evil Lyn retaliates by saying that Keldor had kidnapped Adam and disappeared, which leads everyone to believe that both Keldor and Adam had died. Keldor tells them that he managed to survive, but his body has been in a stasis mode for years, and he now depends on the life force of other beings in order to survive. Keldor also boasts about having discovered the Castle of Grayskull, and even shows them the Havoc Staff he managed to steal from the castle. The Havoc Staff contained dark magic, and it was also the reason why Keldor needed to steal other soul energy to survive. Evil Lyn proposes that they should join hands again and work together to get their hands on the Sword of Grayskull, and she realizes that Prince Adam must have also survived the attack 10 years ago. Back at the base camp, Tila hears the voices that guided her at Castle Grayskull once again, and she suggests that they will find their answers there. While Adam himself does not understand what's going on, he decides to head to the castle and find out more about the sword and his identity. However, their plans are interrupted when hundreds of Evil Lyn's bots locate them and launch an attack on them. Duncan prepares their ship for takeoff, while Cringer, Adam and the others struggle to fend off the bots. Eventually, they're saved by Prince Keldor, who appears at the scene and introduces himself as Adam's uncle. As the episode ends, Keldor greets Adam and tells him that it's time to come home. In the following episode, titled The Heirs of Grayskull, Keldor introduces himself as King Randor's brother and tells Adam about his true identity as Randor's son. Adam doesn't fully believe that his father is the ruler of Eternos and even doubts Keldor's words, since he can't remember anything from his past that coincides with everything he learned from his uncle. While Keldor takes his time to gain Adam's trust, Evil Lyn and Cronus watch the scene from afar and get impatient. However, Keldor's tactics pay off when Adam finally reveals the Sword of Power to him. Adam states that he doesn't want to deal with the sword's power alone, and Keldor reassures him by saying that he does not have to work alone. Keldor then snatches the sword from Adam's grip and even uses his Havoc Staff to knock Adam out and escape. In the meantime, Evil Lyn and Cronus also reveal themselves and fire a missile at Tila, Adam, and the others. Tila uses her powers to divert the missile, which ends up crashing into huge rocks that fall onto Crass, Tila, and Adam, and trap them underneath the rubble of stones. While Keldor, Evil Lyn, and Cronus head to Castle Grayskull, Tila uses her powers to hold the rocks and also bring Adam back to consciousness. Adam wakes up and realizes that Crass is also panicking in the ship and that she can't get out of it because the rocks have blocked its entrance. While Crass starts panicking, Adam tells Tila that Crass's parents died in a ship crash and that she had survived the accident because of the helmet which she wears all the time. While Keldor already has a head start on his trip, he travels with Evil Lyn and Cronus, who are both skeptical about trusting Keldor. Keldor tells them he doesn't trust them either, but they continue their journey together. As they reach the castle's location, Keldor returns the Sword of Grayskull to its proper place and then twists a monument that finally unveils the castle Grayskull to those who seek it. In the meantime, Duncan and Cringer work together to find a way to rescue the rest of their team, and they finally manage to send a signal that triggers the ship's engine to blow up and break the rocks. While the engines explode, Adam, Tila, and Crass make it out of the wreckage alive and decide to head to Castle Grayskull themselves. As they get on the ship and head after Keldor, the team wonders why Evelyn paired up with Keldor and what they might possibly be after. Crass also starts blaming herself for delaying their journey, while Adam reassures her that it's not her fault. Tila guides them toward the castle's location, and they soon reach the place and head out of their ship. They even cross a magical barrier to make it to the insides of the castle grounds, and Tila then uses her magic to locate the statue of the sorceress that had sent her to find Adam in the first place. Tila takes the sorceress's staff in her hand, and they soon head inside the castle by following a lightning path created by the staff. Once they enter the castle of Grayskull, Tila uses the staff to uncover the incidents that occurred 10 years ago when Prince Keldor launched an attack on Grayskull. They see these events through echoes of the past created by the staff and learn that Keldor had kidnapped a young Adam to strike a deal with the castle's sorceress. In this memory, Keldor asks the sorceress to hand the Sword of Grayskull to him instead of his brother, King Randor. The sorceress then reveals 2 totems and asks Keldor to choose a totem that will decide whether or not he gets the sword. She advises him to choose wisely, and Keldor selects the scepter instead of the sword. The sorceress asks Keldor to seize the power of the scepter if he believes that this is the right choice, and the scepter takes a toll on Keldor and even damages his bones. The sorceress then states that only a true champion would be able to wield the sword, and a young Adam manages to wield the sword. In the present day, Adam decides to test whether he is the true champion, and he holds the sword, which immediately transforms him into He-Man once again. While Adam wields the Sword of Grayskull, Prince Keldor sneaks up on him from behind and comments on how the sword refuses to give him the same powers. Keldor states that he should be more worthy of the sword, since he is the better fighter, and that Adam is just a child playing a man. Adam asks him why he's doing all this, and Keldor tells him that he cursed his bones when he picked the scepter instead of the sword, and he's dying slowly as the curse spreads through his body. Finally, Keldor traps Adam's friends and gives him the choice of either reactivating the chamber or watching his friends turn into monsters in front of him. In the next episode, titled Champions of Grayskull, Keldor tortures Adam's friends while Adam decides to comply and give Keldor what he wants. While Krull asks He-Man not to give in to Keldor's demands, He-Man agrees to place the sword in the chamber's pit to reactivate the power of Grayskull. Keldor believes that He-Man will obey his orders, but He-Man tricks him and only stalls Keldor, while Tila uses her witchcraft to free herself from Keldor's trap. She then unleashes her magical powers and frees the rest of them, and they all head out of the chamber, deciding to explore the rest of the castle. In the meantime, Keldor and his accomplices follow them, but He-Man uses the power of Grayskull to defend himself and his friends from their opponents. Adam decides to return to the chamber to reunite the sword with the castle's power, which awakens the power of Grayskull once again, and even grants Crass, Tila, Duncan, and Cringer with magical powers that transform them into more powerful beings with enhanced warrior-like costumes. The 5 of them come together to declare that they have the power, and Evelyn and Cronus struggle to fight against Tila, Crass, Duncan, and Cringer. In the meantime, Keldor corners Adam inside the castle, and the 2 soon end up fighting. Eventually, Adam declares that he will never let Keldor have what he wants, and that the power of Grayskull only brings out the worst in him. While Tila and the others fight against Evelyn and Cronus, Keldor declares that the Grayskull did bring out the best in him, and that his powers manifested themselves in an unusual way. Keldor uses the Havoc's energy to escape the castle, along with Evelyn and Cronus, and declares that he will now use the Havoc as his source of power. Keldor further states that the age of Grayskull has passed, and he then welcomes the age of Skeletor. As the scene shifts to the castle, Adam uses the sword to return to his usual self when the sorceress reveals herself and declares that to know himself truly, Adam must become a master of the universe. As the story arc moves forward, Prince Keldor gives himself a new identity as the Skeletor and uses his Havoc staff to create new problems for He-Man. some memorable characters from the show. The show's main characters included He-Man and his group of friends, who often faced Skeletor and his evil allies. He-Man, also known as Prince Adam, was the show's main protagonist, and his character was voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. After being abducted by Prince Keldor at a young age, Adam was discovered by Cringer and raised among the Tiger Tribe. He grew up to become a capable young man and later reclaimed the Sword of Grayskull. Adam's costume and appearance underwent many changes across seasons, and he was a muscular, tall character who wore a suit of armor and had ceremonial tattoos on his arms. While Adam was initially a young boy unsure of his true identity, he grew up to become a kind and considerate man. He always cared for everyone around him and strived to use the sword's powers for good. Adam was raised by Cringer, also known as Battle Cat, and this character was voiced by David Cave. Cringer was a humanoid who lived as a part of the Tiger Tribe, and he was twice the size of a usual tiger and possessed incredible strength and speed. After being blessed by the power of Grayskull, Cringer assumes the form of Battle Cat, an alter ego that's unleashed every time He-Man uses his Sword of Grayskull. In this form, Cringer appears 3 times as big as his usual self and has sharp mechanical claws and bright yellow eyes. He appeared as a mentor to He-Man and was the voice of reason in various scenarios. Cringer had lost his claws when he was just a cub, and he often felt bad over this until Duncan made him a new set of mechanical claws. Duncan, also known as Man-at-Arms, was a former ally of the Evil Alliance formed by Evil Lyn, but he later joined forces with He-Man's team. Duncan's alter ego, Man-at-Arms, often used a mace among other weapons in order to defeat his opponents. Duncan greatly values his moral integrity and joins He-Man's team after refusing to fight them during a face-off between Evil Lyn's forces and the Tiger Tribe. Crass, also known as Ram-Marm or Rampage, was voiced by Judy Alice Lee. Her character was another member of the Tiger Tribe who grew up with Adam and viewed him as a sibling. Crass grew up in the Tiger Tribe after losing both of her parents in a rockslide accident where she was the lone survivor. The accident had deeply traumatized Crass, and she had even developed a fear of enclosed spaces. She also always wore a helmet that belonged to her father, and she was quite protective when it was used by Adam as well as the other members of the Tiger Tribe. In the form of her alter ego, Ram-Marm, she realizes that her helmet contains some Havoc energy, and that she seems to have equal parts of the evil Havoc energy and the golden Grayskull energy. After a while, Crass betrays her friends to join forces with Skeletor and assume a new identity as Rampage. But she eventually returns to the good side when Adam sacrifices his sword and powers to save her life. Tila, also known as the Sorceress, was an essential character who played a huge role in acquiring the Sword of Grayskull. Her character was voiced by Kimberly Brooks, and this version of the show depicted her as a young sorceress. Tila's golden eyes often changed to blue whenever she used her magic, and her hair kept changing appearances across the show. She usually wore a blue or white colored suit and eventually grew 2 pairs of wings that helped her fly. After gaining her powers, Tila started going by the name Sorceress and gained more advanced magical powers. She was a headstrong character who didn't fear any situation and never hesitated before taking on a challenge. While she was initially sent by Evil Lyn to steal the Sword of Grayskull, Tila followed what seemed right to her and chose to deliver the sword to its true champion, even if it meant risking her life. Evil Lyn, also known as Evil Lyn, and Cronus were evil entities who wanted the Sword of Grayskull for their personal gains, and they eventually ended up as Skeletor's most loyal followers. Skeletor, also known as Prince Keldor, was the show's main antagonist and was voiced by Benjamin Diskin. Prince Keldor was Eternia's King Randor's younger brother, and he sought the power of Grayskull for himself. However, Keldor fails to choose an appropriate totem that would lead him to the Sword of Grayskull and ends up getting exposed to Havoc magic. This exposure curses his body as it starts shedding flesh, and he eventually transforms into a skeletal structure with deep red eyes. Keldor then assumes a new identity, Skeletor, and decides to use Havoc magic for evil purposes. Skeletor was a deeply ambitious and selfish villain who didn't hesitate to use others as pawns in order to achieve his goals. He could use the Havoc Staff to bring the dead back to life, mind control other beings, and even share his powers with his followers. What do we know so far about the chances of Season 4? While the show's 3rd season was released in August 2022, there have already been talks of a 4th season that could be in the works. The 3rd season ends with Skeletor being stripped of his powers while Evil Lyn ends up on a plane where she meets an entity that claims to be her father. This creature also asks Evelyn to make way for them into the world, and the writers certainly have plans to introduce a new enemy in the form of this creature in the next season. Moreover, Season 3 ended with He-Man reclaiming the Sword of Power while the Havoc staff seems to be missing, which can also be a potential story arc in the 4th season. With a lot of storylines left incomplete, we can safely assume that there's a good chance that Netflix will renew the show for another season that fills in these gaps and provides explanation for Season 3's end.
Child playing at being a man.
Marvelous verdict, a reboot that saves the legacy of He-Man for the next generation. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe presented the legendary He-Man show in a new light and reintroduced it as a sci-fi show with modern storytelling and animation techniques. The reboot not only attracted the attention of the fans of the original show, but also introduced this legendary show to a whole new generation of viewers. The reboot also had better animation due to technological advancements, and the voice actors did a great job bringing these classic characters to life again. The show also has a well-written storyline and garnered a lot of praise for giving a good story arc for the female characters. While the reboot was reminiscent of the old classic, the storyline was much more fast-paced than the original show and captured the audience's attention. While some fans of the original show disapproved of a modern-day reboot, the show did pretty well with the audiences and gained a good reputation for saving He-Man's legacy, carrying it forward.
By the power of Grayskull!
To conclude, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was a well-executed reboot that captured the original show's essence. It was quite a hit among younger viewers who were fascinated by a world of action and adventure, and it also garnered praise from the older fans of the original show. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.